may magkasagot sa number 1 sa 2, sa 2-2, sa 2-3 at saka sa dalawa. O magsasagot sa number 2, dalawa, tigi-tigisa sa bawat. Hindi buuan kayo kung hindi bawat sections ay may sasagot sa problem na ibibigay ko. And then mamaya ibibigay ko rin sa inyo yung problem set dun sa nahuhuling 4. And then, ang submission nun will be on July 9, 11:59 p.m. And then your examination will be on July 9, 6 to 8:30 and 8:30 to 9 yung submission for yung pipicturean nyo ng cam scanner yung inyong exam nyo. Okay, so question pa regarding doon. So alam niyo naman kung papasa kayo at alam niyo naman kung babagsak kayo kasi babalik ko yung dalawang examinations yung result ng examinations nyo bago ko i-post yung grade ninyo. At kung meron kayong something na doubt or something, pwede naman kayo magtanong o mag-chat or something na huwag naman lahat sabay-sabay. Kung lahat kayo sabay-sabay, baka mahilo na ako. No? So, pero hindi ko naman kaya sabay-sabay. Ang una ko muna siguro ibigay ay si 2-1, si 2-2. After, kinabukasan yung isa naman yung mga grades para hindi kayo magkasabay-sabay magpa-check sa akin ng mga. Don't worry, ako nag-check ng papel, iniisa-isa ko yun. Makikita nyo may mga mababa or may mga minus points kasi walang mga reasons. So, sa proving or walang reasons bakit naging ganito, nakalagay dapat doon, De Morgan's Law. Pag walang De Morgan's Law or walang commutative property, walang associative property of sets, ibig sabihin nun, hindi kayo makakakuha ng perfect points sa particular na number na yon. Kaya kung magtatanong kayo, sir, bakit kung baba ko sa exam? Kasi kulang-kulang yung 10 points yan eh. Wala kang mga reason sa kagawa ka nga. Wala ka naman ligay na reason. So, ibig sabihin, hindi mo makukuha yung perfect points or plus points. Na gano'n. Kaya don't worry, kaya naman ako mag-grade at saka hindi ko inaayos ko talaga yung para hindi na nga masyadong marami mag-correction. Dahil mahirap magkaroon ng correction, mauulit naman lahat ulit. No? So, yun ang natin. So, any question pa regarding dun sa mga announcement ko sa inyo. So, ang grade nyo, makikita nyo na lang yan sa portal, sa inyong portal, sa inyong paggamit ng SIS. Yung makikita nyo yung grade. For those na papasa, mataas na grade, congratulations. So, for the next continuing subject ng Mathstat 2 ay makukuha nyo na. Sana iba sa inyo isang magagaling na statistics din, yung gusto mag-shift na statistics pwede naman kasi ako talaga math ako, kahit ang MS ko math din ako, pero pagdating ng PhD ko naisip ko na parang pag math ako mag-teacher ako or sa labas or at sa statistics ang daming consultancy, ang daming nag-invite sa akin mag-talk, ang daming consultancy, ang daming mga kliyente pagdating sa mga paggawa ng thesis. Okay, yun ang part doon. Kaya sana yung mga gustong mag-shift ng stat. Okay, so I'll start ko na yung video. So of your video now, parang 1.5 hour. So panuorin mo na mabuti. Hindi naman siguro 1.5. 1 and 15 minutes. 1 hour and 15 minutes yung inyong video. So maliwanag naman yon, maiintindihan naman yung video na yon kasi kanina naintindihan ng 2-1. No? So, ipi-play ko na siya. For those who may mga questions kayo, open ako for question and answer mamaya. Then after nun, magkakaroon tayo bibigyan ako ng problem set. And then after the problem set, ay magkakaroon tayo ng plus points. So, i-share, ko lang ha. Ay, nakapasok na yun. Check ko lang yung Drive E. Drive E. Part 7. Naka-post na to sa sa MS Teams. Hello class, good afternoon. Narinig nyo ba class?
Opo sir, opo.
This is my video number 7. Sige, i-play ko muna, So, 7, representing the transformation technique, the CDF and the MGF approach. together with the characteristic function. So this will be the last topic for the semester, and just study more on this, and this will be also included in your last exam. Okay? Class, ito palang lesson natin from part 1 hanggang dito sa part 7, kapares sa UP. So kung ano yung lecture sa UP, ito rin yung lecture na ginagamit nila. Kasi isang module lang ang ginagamit natin. Just sit in, relax, and enjoy watching my 7th video. Okay, so let's start with chapter number 4. And the chapter number 4 is a distribution of a function of a random variable. So there are 3 methods in finding the distribution of a given random variable. So there are the moment generating function technique, or the MGF technique, the commutative distribution technique, or the CDF technique, and the method of transformation. Okay, so the MGF technique has the following procedure. Number 1 is to find the MGF of y, or the MGF of y at t, then compare the MGF of y at t with other well-known MGFs. So yung well-known MGFs are those MGF in the special distribution. Okay, it can be a discrete or continuous. If the MGF is the same as the MGF of u, sabi ko nga kanina, yung na-compute mong MGF of y is the same as the MGF of u, where u also is any special distribution, can be discrete or continuous for all values of t, then y and u have identical density functions. Okay? By uniqueness theorem. So makakuha ka ngayon ng MGF ng y mo na kung saan parehas ng MGF ng iyong existing MGF, which is the MGF of your special distribution na kinompute natin for our problem set, then we can say that particular y, the distribution of y is the same as the distribution of that particular special distribution of a random variable na tinake up natin from the previous section. Okay, so let's go now with an example. So suppose that if you are given x, okay, that is an x, a random variable, which has a distribution of a binomial distribution with the parameters nt. So using the MGF, again, so the definition of MGF, pag sabi natin, the MGF of y at t is just expectation of e raised to y t. But what is y? Y is n minus x, correct? Ayan siya. No? So ito yung ano natin, ito yung given natin. Therefore, that would be equal to the expectation of, distribute natin nt minus xt. Okay, therefore, pag distribute po yan, magiging siyang expectation of e raised to nt minus the expectation of negative xt, where e raised to nt is constant, so ilabas natin siya. Okay, since if you get the expectation of a constant is still that particular value, e raised to nt times the expectation of e raised to negative xt. But e raised to negative xt, or the expectation of e raised to negative xt, is the same as the MGF of x at negative t. Therefore, since the MGF of x has a form of the density, the MGF, as a form of MGF t raised to e t plus q raised to n, okay? So ngayon, isa-substitute natin ito ng nt natin yung nasa labas. So therefore, ito ay kaparehas lang ng MGF ng x. But your x now, okay? Your x now is your what? Binomial. Ano ba ang MGF ng binomial? Di ba e raised to t plus q raised to n? Therefore, isa-substitute natin yung negative t dun sa given na t dito. So that is p raised to e raised to negative t plus q raised to n. Correct? But what is, mayroon tayong parehas ang n. Pagsamahin na natin sa isang parenthesis, o nangyari, ang natira e raised to t times p raised to negative t plus q raised to n. Okay? So, but E is positive here and E is negative here. Pag pinagsama mo yung magiging 1 lang siya. So, ang matitira dito, P lang. So, P plus Q. Kasi distribute natin to kaya nagkaroon ng Q raised to E raised to T raised to N. Di ba? Nakita natin? So, ang nangyari ngayon, yung MGF ng Y natin is what? P plus Q E raised to T raised to N, which is also the same as the MGF, no? The MGF of a binomial distribution. Okay, with parameter P as Q, kasi baliktad, no? And your N is equal to N. Thus, if X is your binomial distribution with mean NP, therefore your Y is N minus X, then the distribution or the PMF or what we call your or the PMF is given by N taken Y. Pagka natin, so Y, Q raised to Y, P raised to N minus Y times the indicator function which is from 0 to N of Y. Okay class, so dito lang sa pagkuha na sa MGF using MGF technique, kagaya nga sinabi ko last time, prinove yung dalawang distribution using the MGF technique. So dito, if you are given a variable X as binomial distribution, tapos may isa ka pang given na Y, another variable, that particular Y is in terms of the X, is in terms of X, no? N minus X, so therefore yung in terms sa yung X sa'yo ay mayroong distribution. So ang hinahanap dito ay distribution ni Y. Kasi alam na natin si distribution ni X is binomial. Kaya yun ang target dito. So from that, gawin mo lang, kukunin mo lang si MGF, no? Si MGF nung Y. Hanggang sa makuha mo ngayon, makulalabas ngayon si X, where si X is mayroon sa distribution. No? So hahanap ka ngayon kung anong kakalabasan ni MGF ni Y na kaparehas ni MGF o kahit anong MGF na makikita ninyo sa special distribution. Ang nagkataon dito, ang lumabas ay parehas din in terms of a binomial distribution. But ang problema lang dito, pag binomial kasi with respect to P as the parameter, dapat P A raised to T plus Q, di ba raised to N, dapat ganon. Ay nagkabaliktad, ang nangyari ay P plus Q E raised to T raised to N. So ibig sabihin, nagkabalik si P at saka si Q. Pero binomial pa rin ito kasi naka-form pa rin siya ng binomial. So ibig sabihin, binomial pa rin siya, si X, I, N, P. Ngayon, si Y ay magiging siyang Q and Q. Kasi yung Q na yun ay si P ng X, di ba? So therefore, at this point, the X now is a binomial distribution with NQ as the parameter. No, si Q kasi si Q ang katabi ni ET. Pero sa original kasi dapat si P, ET dapat plus Q. Kasi yun ang magiging variable mo dun sa una. Sa pangalawa, si Q yan. So therefore, siya magiging variable mo, parameter mo sa pangalawa. Kaya dapat siya ay Y is a binomial with parameter N kasi parehas lang sila ng N. Then si P is equal to Q, therefore magiging siyang Q. Okay, therefore that is still binomial distribution. Ganun lang siya. So maghahanap kayo ng MGF na from the special distribution na kaparehas ng makukuha ng MGF ng hinahanap yung variable. MGF ng hinahanap ninyong variable. Ganun lang yung proseso dito. At kung dito, again, sabi natin, siya ay X, yung variable ni binomial mo, di ba X dapat? Ito Y to kasi Y na kasi yung variable na hinahanap mo. Okay, so more problems. So this is now using your MGF approach. So from X, since Y naman talaga yung kanyang variable dito, kailangan Y yung variable ng ating MGF, ng ating given na distribution of that particular Y. Nagkataon na parehas sa binomial, kaya ginamit natin yung binomial formula. Okay? So let's go to the different theorems, no? So important theorems derived from MGF. So therefore, at the first theorem, if X is normal with mean mu and sigma squared, and Y is equal to AX plus B, where A and B are constant, then follows a normal distribution with mean or the expectation of y is a mu plus b, and the variance of y is a squared sigma squared. Okay, so let us continue with the proof. Okay, so using the MGF technique. So let X be a normal distribution with mean, B nito, negative mu over sigma. So para makabuo tayo ng AX plus B, which is equivalent to here. Di ba? So kung magkakaroon ka ng 1 over sigma dito, ito value, yun yung A natin, tapos yung B natin, mu over sigma. So naka-form tayo ng Z is equal to AX plus B, which is the same as this. So therefore, ay same tayo ng ng value ng x natin. Ang x natin ay normal with mean mu sigma squared, same as here. So pareha silang dalawa. Automatic pareha sila ng MGF. So ang mangyayari ngayon, i-compute natin yung ating mean, which is what? Your mu here, kasi ito yung ating part ng mu, no? Your mu here minus yung mu na to ni B, which is equal to 0 in terms of the mean, and the variance now is A squared B squared, and A squared B plus yung mu dito, ito na pasok. Yung mu na to, ito yun no, si mu star. Okay, so mu times A, ano yung A mo? 1 over sigma. So mu over sigma, ito yon. Then minus yung ano nito, itong B natin. Ito yung value mo ng B plus B. Ito yung B mo negative mu over sigma. Kaya mu over sigma sa A, ito is 1 over sigma. Sige siyang mu over sigma plus negative mu over sigma, which is 0. Okay, your sigma squared naman na star, ito yon, which is your 1 over sigma, yung ating B, ay ating A value ng A is 1 over sigma squared, then sigma squared, so ito na yon. Okay, so magka-cancel yan, magiging equal to 1. Okay, squared is 1 over sigma yung A, i-quantity squared mo siya, tapos i-sigma square mo siya, then you can cancel sa, ano mo yan, 1 over sigma squared, tama? Times sigma squared. And cancel natin, itong dalawang to is equal to 1. Kaya ang variance niya ay 1. Ito yung A natin, natin kasama si X ha, si X, A natin is 1 mu over A, yung value ng ating value dito, minus yung B mo, or plus B, ang B mo is mu over A din, so minus mo silang dalawa, kaya 0 ang mean niya. Okay? And that would be now your mean and variance of a standard normals. Kung parehas lang, so walang problema, i-substitute na lang natin. Kung 3x siya, so yung y is equal to 3x, so ang mu niya is 3x. And ang sigma niya is 3 squared sigma squared, which is equal to 9 sigma squared. X minus 1. So kung itong value, pagka mo lang silang mu, may siyang mu minus 1. And your sigma is equal to 1. 1 squared sigma squared is equal to 1. Itong 2x minus 5, the automatic is 2 mu minus 5. No? Babagka mo lang si x ng mu. Tama? So kaya kanila ginawa yung mu natin kanina kasi x ng mu dito. Mu over sigma minus mu over sigma kaya nag-0. So ito ngayon siya. So ang sigma niya ay 2. 2 squared a squared. Kaya naging 4a squared. So kung nakakita pala kayo ng distribution, nakahawig ni ax plus b. Tapos yung given na variable mo is a normal distribution with mean mu sigma squared, hindi mo na kailangan mag-transform. Hindi mo na kailangan gumamit ng NGF. Alam mo na kasi alam mo na yung given mo. No? Sabihin mo lang, using transformation technique or using the MGF technique, pwede mong gamitin, i-substitute mo na si value. Madali nang makita. No? Madali nang makita. Okay, so another theorem is a chi-square. So let Z is a standard normal with mean mu and sigma squared. Then C square follows a chi-square. By definition, the chi-square is the square of standard normal and the number of times mo na siya ay inad using summation is their corresponding degrees of freedom. Halimbawa, C square, 1 degrees of freedom nun. C square plus C square, dalawa na sila, 2 degrees of freedom. C square plus C square plus C square. So we have 3 degrees of freedom. At chi-square na siya. A chi-square with 3 degrees of freedom is equivalent to C square plus C square plus C square. And nagkataong if C now is standard normal 0, 1, tandaan nyo nga Z dapat standard normal. So there, at this point, your C square follows a chi-square distribution of 1 degrees of freedom. Alam ko, class kapag chi-square, ang definition kahit sa math 2 nyo, i-prove sa inyo to, kapag C square, that is a chi-square na, where Z is standard normal. Square mo si standard normal, chi-square siya with 1 degrees of freedom. Okay, kapag C square plus C square, it is also a chi-square with 2 degrees of freedom. So kung ilan yung bilang na inad mo na C square, yun yung number of degrees of freedom na gagamitin nyo. Pero ipuprove din sa inyo yan sa math 2, paano nakuha yun. Okay? Ipuprove yan. Pinuprove ko yan sa math pinuprove ko yan sa math 2, no? Sa mathematics 2. So, kailangan lang pakita natin that a chi-square is, okay, yung ating normal na C square is a chi-square with 1 degrees of freedom. Okay, let's go with the proof. Let's continue for the proof. Okay, let's see B is standard normal with mean 0 and variance 1. So we have to get the MGF of C square at T. Okay, and that is what? And that is equal to the expectation of e raised to t c squared given by definition. And the definition is given by this formula. This is just the integral of e raised to t c squared 1 over the square root of 2 pi exponential of negative c squared over 2. This is since you are given a standard normal. Ipasok natin si e raised to EC. So dito sa loob nito. So ang mangyayari ngayon dyan would be the expectation of bale t times c square minus c square over 2. Okay. And then simplify, so we have the exponential of ang mangyayari to least common denominator, which is 2. We have t c square minus z square. Okay, so magkakaroon tayo ng 2 dito, the LCD. So 2 times t c square minus c square. Okay, so ang mangyayari ngayon, we have the exponential of, we have the exponential of, this is over 2, So we have, ilabas natin si c square. C square. Okay. So this is 2z, 2t. 2t minus 1. Okay. And then, ano mangyayari? Okay, what would be next? So ilabas natin si negative sa labas. Exponential of negative c square. So ano mangyayari dito? This is 1 minus 2t. Okay? So over, so pag pinilit natin yan, this is now negative c square, correct? So this becomes negative c square plus a 2t. Okay, so this is now, ito na yun. Okay, so again, multiply both side by a 1 minus 2t raised to negative 1 half. So you have to multiply both side by 1 minus 2 raised to negative 1 half on both sides over 1 minus 2t raised to negative 1 half. So ano mangyayari ito? Ito na yon. Ito ay napunta sa ilalim. Okay? So exponential. So mangyayari, papasok mo ito doon. So magiging ng 1 yung denominator. And this part, this integral now is the CDF of a normal distribution with mean 0 and variance 1 minus 2t raised to negative 1. And by definition 2, this is equal to 1. Ang natira sa atin is your 1 minus 2t raised to negative 1 half. And this is now the CDF of a gamma distribution with lambda is equal to 2 and r is equal to 1 half. And by definition that this is also equal to a chi-square distribution with k degrees of freedom due to definition of a chi-square. Na ipuprove sa inyo rin yan for Math 2 in finding the distribution of a chi-square. Okay, and that is your chi-square with 1 degrees of freedom. So there are exercises. So sasagot natin mamaya ito, no? Kasagot tayo ito, madali lang to. Ayan. So kung gusto magsagot, mamaya sagutan natin after the lesson. So let's go now with the next method, which problem set number 9 para sa group 9. Sino yung group 9? Lahat parehas ng group 9, lahat ng section. Okay, number 3 and 4. Okay, if gamma is R lambda, find the distribution of y is equal to 3x using the MGF technique. And number 4, suppose x a gamma with n over 2, with r is equal to n over 2, where n is some positive integer and lambda is equal to some specific value. Using MGF technique, determine the distribution of 2 lambda x. Okay, yung lahat ng group 9, okay, lahat ng group 9, 3 and 4 for the MGF technique. Maliwanag na. Kulang ko na kay 10, 11, 12. See, continue. Madali lang to. Ayan. So, yung kung gusto magsagot, mamaya, sagutan natin after the lesson. So, let's go now with the next method, which is your CDF method. Okay, or the cumulative distribution function technique. Okay. So, first procedure, if it is not given, derive the CDF of x. Second, express the CDF of y in terms of the CDF of x. And step 3, if asked for, derive a density function of y using the approach discussed in chapter 2, yung pinag-aralan natin dati, on deriving the density functions of a CDF. So, okay, let's go with an example. Let f of x, CDF to this is your CDF. Kasi kung small, f of x yan, that is your PDF, no? The PDF. So find the CDF of y given 3x plus 2. and 3x plus 2, 3x is what? Okay, a variable in terms of y. So therefore, connected tayo kay y and x, no? So paano natin hahanapin ngayon si distribution function ni y? Of course, gamitan mo ng CDF approach. Nasa inyo naman yan eh. Kung ano gusto nyo gamitin, gamit kayo ng MGF approach or the CDF approach. So basta given ka na si x, and x, your f of x is the CDF of x. Pinapahanap naman si CDF of y ay since x is given, no? Ang given na kanyang CDF, so hahanapin natin si y using the CDF approach. No, kanina given ng x niyo is a normal, may distribution siya. Ngayon naman, ang given nyo ay CDF nung x and not the CDF of y. So, ang pinapahanap natin ngayon is a CDF of y. So, next is you have to find the CDF of y. What is the definition of the CDF of y? This is just the probability of y less than or equal to small letter y. But what is now your y? Your y is 3x. Ito yung 3x is less than or equal to y. Okay. So ngayon, kukunin natin ngayon si x in terms of y. So paano mo kunin ngayon si x? So ililipat sa kabila si 2. So y minus 2. Then divide both side by 3. So x is less than or equal to y minus 2 plus y multiply or divided by 3 is equal to, pagbalikan natin to, ito na to, CDF din to, di ba? Kasi naka-form of this form. So f of x of y minus 2 over 3. Tama? Okay. Yun yung given natin. So ibig sabihin, lahat ng given na form, the form f of x, y minus 2 over 3. Suppose you are given an exponential distribution x. Ang CDF na exponential ay, ito. Diba? Nakuha natin yan CDF. No? Kasama yan sa inyong problem set. So 1 minus e raised to negative lambda of the indicator function 0 to infinity or is r plus of x. So if y is equal to 3x plus 2 based from the given. So ano mangyayari? Ito, ginamitan mo siya. Yung y minus 2 is less than 0. Okay, kapag less than 0 siya, 0 yung ating CDF. Kasi yung form natin is y minus 2 over 3. Okay, kapag nandito sa part na to, 0, di ba? Okay, so 1 minus e raised to lambda, papalit natin si x in terms of x in terms of y. Okay, so negative lambda, y minus 2 over 3, if your y minus 2 is greater than or equal to 0, and y now is greater than 2. Tama? Bakit ito? Ilipat sa kabila, magiging y minus 2 is greater than 0. Ilipat sa kabila, magiging positive. Therefore, y is greater than 2. Same here, 0. Also, y is less than or equal to 0. And then, ilipat sa kabila, magiging less than or equal. So therefore, ito yung value natin. Therefore, kung hahanapin natin yung value at less than or equal to 2, zero yung sagot natin. For yung distribution natin, kapag y is greater than 2, ito yung distribution natin. Ganun lang siya kadali. No? Ganun lang siya kadali. So, okay, that's for letter A. So how about letter B? If y is equal to negative 3x plus 2. So again, by definition ng CDF, y is less than or equal to y, the probability. And that is, substitute natin, so ano magiging value natin, that is, your y is negative 3x plus 2 less than or equal to y. So manipulate natin, ilipat sa kabila, so magiging x is greater than or equal to negative y minus 2 over 3. Okay, so from here, that is your greater than or equal to. So that is also equivalent if you are taking a less than. Okay, kasi greater than or equal, so kukunin yung complement, that would be 1 minus the CDF of, papalitan natin, negative kasi ito, negative yan, negative, ayan. So ito na yung y minus 2 over 3 from the left, kasi bakit? Negative yung value natin, no? Start from the left tayo ngayon. Okay? So ito yung value natin for your CDF. So for beta, if you are given this, no? So what is this? This is a CDF of, suppose you are given the CDF of a 0 kapag less than x, then between 0 to 1 is 1 minus p, and 1 kapag greater than or equal to 1. Okay, suppose if you are given y is equal to negative 3x plus 3, then your CDF of your y is 1 minus, substitute natin ito, no? Yung nakuha natin dito kanina, kasi nakuha na natin siya. So magiging siyang value nito, ito siya. So palitan natin. So 1 minus, this becomes 0 is equal to 1. So 1 minus, this is your 1 minus p, kasi ito yung limit mo, 1 minus p, okay, is equal to p, that is, and y minus 1 is 0. Tandaan nyo lagi, yung una nating given ay x. Dito, hinahanap mo sa distribution ng y, dapat y yung ano mo dito, y yung mga values mo dito. So therefore, simplify natin yan, yung mga values na yan, ito yung kakalabasan niya. So therefore, this will be the CDF. And note that if the CDF of 0, okay, from the left is still 0, and the CDF of 1 from the right is 1 minus p. Okay? So napakadali lang, di ba? So from the left yun, f of negative 1 from the left. So 1 minus p. Letter C naman, letter C, if y is equal to x squared, so this is the CDF. So get x squared na hanap natin, di ba? So ayan, so palitan natin siya. So x squared is less than or equal to y. Okay, so yun magiging value natin. So anong mangyayari? So the square root of x less than the square root of y. What is, pag sabi natin ganyan, negative square root of y is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to y. Kung yung value natin is x is less than or equal to the square root of y, and that is equal to this. Di ba? Okay, from that, ito na yun. Ma-minus natin using the formula, the CDF of the square root of y minus CDF of the square root of negative square root of y, and y is greater than or equal to 0. Ito yung value. Otherwise, the value would be 0. Okay? Ito yung definition ng probability to the cumulative distribution function. Di ba yung mga formula tayo niya na pinakita ng mga previous lectures natin? Okay? Okay, so let's go now with the second example. If you are given your PMF with 6x, 1 minus x, then the indicator function 0, 1 of x. So find the PDF yun na nagkamali lang ako, PDF. Ang PMF kasi discrete. So lahat na sabihin ko PMF is PDF. PDF of y is equal to 3x minus 1. Since the given is just your PMF, so we need to what? To convert your PMF into CDF. So paano tayo mag-convert? Gagawin natin. Paano? So gagawin na tayo ay mag-i-integrate. So integrate muna natin yung value ng 6x minus x. Okay? We given the indicator function 0, 1 of x, and from that, nakuha mo yung CDF. Paano ka ulit tayo mag-convert ng PMF to CDF? So we have to get the integral. And how we're going to convert your PMF to your CDF, to your PMF, we have to get the derivative. Okay? So therefore, mayroon ka lang ngayong nakuha na natin si CDF. Okay? So from your given PMF. Alam mo yan. So therefore, paano kukunin si CDF? Ano kukunin ngayon si CDF ni y? So by definition of CDF, this is the probability of y less than or equal to y is equal to the probability of, substitute natin si 3x minus y dito. 3x minus y is less than or equal to y, and we have to find x is less than or equal to y plus 1 over 3. And that is now the CDF of y plus 1 over 3. So from the given example, you have 1. If 0 is less than or equal to y plus 3 plus 1 over 3, which gives you y is greater than or equal to negative 1. Your 3 times y plus 1 over 3 squared minus 2 times y plus 1 squared, the third power cube. 0 is less than y plus 1 over 3 is less than 1, which gives you from negative 1 to 2. And your 1 is y plus 3 over 3 is greater than or equal to 1, which is y greater than or equal to 2. Therefore, Therefore, so from the given, ano mangyari? Okay, what would be, ito yan na, ito yung ano natin, CDF yung kinuha natin. So after finding your CDF, so we have to substitute or get your f of y of y. Paano kukunin si f of y given your CDF? So kunin mo lang yung derivative. At pagkatapos mong i-derivative, then substitute natin. So y plus 1 over 3 minus, kasi ang alabas dito is your f of y, which is your CDF of y, kasi kinuha mo si CDF. So para kunin mo naman si small f of y, you have to get what we call your derivative. And getting your derivatives gives you this distribution. Okay? And we have now exercises. Okay, again, so we're going to use these exercises mamaya. Magbibigay tayo ng mga exercise pa unahan makaso. Okay, class. So, ang gagawin ni number 12, group 12. Group 12 ito hindi ito group 10. Group 12 ay number 2. Number 2. Okay? So, yung number 2, yung buong number 2 kasi ABC naman yan. Ako pero madali yan. Sama ko pala isa mamaya yan. Number 2 number 2 plus may isa pa. Group 12 to group 12. By plus of exam sa quiz sa exam number 2. Okay? So paunahan makapag-solve nito. Okay, so let us proceed the method of transformation for the discrete case. So we have the procedure. Let x be a discrete random variable and a the range of x. So let y is equal to the g of x, okay, be a random variable with b at its range. Okay, so case 1, if y is equal to g of x is 1-to-1 map from a onto b, meaning that is y is an element of b, okay, has exactly one p-image of a. That is your p of y is equal to the p of y, the probability of y is equal to y is equal to the probability of x, the inverse of y. So paano yun? Paano naging ganon? So therefore, your p of y, capital Y, is equal to small y, which is what? Substitute natin si y dito. Ano ba si y? G of x. The probability of the g of x is equal to y, and get the inverse both side. The inverse both side is the probability of x is equal to the inverse of y. The inverse of y. Okay, so ito na tayo. And 0 if y is not in b. So if case 2, if y is equal to g of x is not 1-to-1 map from a onto b, that is at least one y element in b that has more than one image in a. So here now, this is just a summation of the corresponding probability where I is the inverse, where x of I is the inverse of g of, the inverse of x of I is equal to y. So this is now if this is not 1-to-1. Okay, so let's take an example. Suppose x has the following PMF. Okay, so this is your x. So this is now the probability of x. Ito yung given natin, ito yung mga mass points, ito yung mga given probability for its mass point. So find the PMF of the random variable y is equal to 3x. Ito yung pinapahanap natin. Ang given mo kasi x, ang hinahanap natin ay PMF nitong y is equal to 3x. And to do that, there is a 1-to-1 mapping. Okay, from a 1-to-1 mapping, you're given your x now is from 0 to 5 and the value of y is equal to 3x. So substitute natin yung 0 dun sa 0 dito, so still 0. So at least 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 3 is 12, and 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, so this is there is a 1-to-1 mapping. To get the PMF of y, so ang y natin, what are the possible values of y? 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. So therefore, ano tayo? 0 to 0 is 0 to 0.1. Okay. So 3 to 1, 1 to 2, kasi 1 to 1 tayo. 6, okay, 6, kaya 6 tayo ha, 6 to 2, 2 to 0.3. Na 9, so 9 to 3, 3 to 0.2. Okay, so 12 to 4, 4 to 0.1, and 15 to 5, 5 to 0.1. So therefore, there is a 1-to-1 mapping. So this is just the PMF of your y. Okay? So how about example number 2? If that is not a mapping, okay, if that is not a mapping, suppose you are given the same x and p of x. Okay, balikan natin yung ano natin. Yung given natin. So therefore, it is not 1-to-1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ang given natin. Okay, substitute natin 0, 0x minus 0, your x is 0, 0 minus 2 is negative 2 squared is 4. Then 1 minus 2 is negative 1 raised to squared is 1. This is now 2 minus 2 is 0 squared. So this is now 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 4 minus 2 is 2 squared is 4. And 5 minus 2 is 3. Then squared it's 9. Okay? From here, we have to find or to solve for, hanapin natin, hindi siya 1-to-1 eh. No, kasi mga possibles values of W are 0. Okay? Ano pa? 1. Then 4. And 9. So kunin mo natin 0. Isa lang ang 0 natin. So therefore, 0 to 2. So what is now 2.3? Correct? Okay, next is 1. 1 is to 1. Then 1 is to 0.2. So 0.2 muna. Alam niyo yan ha. And then 1 is to 3. Then 3 is to 0.2. So 0.2 plus 0.2, we have 0.4. Okay, 4 naman tayo. 4 to 0, what is 0? 0.1. Okay, 4 to 4, what is 4? 0.1. So 0.1 plus 0.1 is 0.2. And 9 to 5, and 5 to 0.1. So therefore, this is no example if that is not a 1-to-1 mapping. Let us continue. So procedure, let A be the range of x and B be the range of y. So case 1, if y is equal to g of x is a 1-to-1 mapping from 1 onto B or onto B. Consequently, the graph of y is either monotonic increasing, the points are monotonic decreasing. So the first step is to get the inverse of y and then get its derivative with respect to y. Then derive the density function as follows. Your f of x, the f of y is equal to f of x of g inverse y times the absolute value of the derivative of the inverse of y with respect to y. Okay, so let's try to prove it. So suppose your y is equal to g of x is a monotonic increasing, which is your g of x is less than or equal to y if and only if x is less than or equal to g, the inverse of y. So your f of y is equal to, let's do the definition for the definition of what we call your CDF. So this is the definition of CDF. Okay, and getting its inverse. So from here kanina, we have to get the inverse. So the probability of x less than or equal to the inverse of y, which is equal to the inverse of, or the CDF of the inverse of y. Thus your small, or the PDF, is equal to the derivative of this, the CDF of the inverse of y with respect to y. So therefore, that would be equal to the derivative of the inverse of y with respect to y times, okay, kunin mo yung derivative, di ba? Times the derivative of the inverse of y dy using chain rule. Alam niyo yan. So therefore, your f of x of g inverse of y times the absolute value of the derivative of the inverse of y with respect to y, since this is always positive. Okay, or greater than 0. Then, suppose, for B, suppose Y is a monotonic decreasing. Ito kasi monotonic increasing. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga points natin is pataas. So, kailangan, lang siya, malapit-lapit lang sa isa-isa. So, paakyat na, pag monotonic increasing nga, yung mga points na kaya ipapaganyan. So, paakyat siya, paakyat. So, pag naman monotonic decreasing, of course, ito naman yung pababa yung mga points. Okay. Yung sequence ng points ay pababa. Ito naman ay sequence ay points ito ay pataas. Okay. So therefore, this is for increasing. Okay. So therefore, this is for decreasing. Okay. Suppose y is equal to g of x is a monotonic decreasing. That is your g of x is less than or equal to y if and only if the inverse of y is x is greater than or equal to the inverse of y. So using definition, your CDF is equal to, okay, by definition of CDF natin, so this is your g of x is less than or equal to y. In getting the both sides its inverse, so x is greater than or equal to the inverse of y. And using your complementation, therefore, since this is greater or equal, then we have to use 1 minus the CDF of g of inverse of y. Ito naman yung ating less than. Okay, less than. That is your the TDF is equal to this. This is the derivative of 1 minus this one. Okay, of the inverse of y, the CDF with respect to y. Okay, and then getting the chain rule again. Then since this is positive, so get the absolute value. So that would be the formula, and this would be the formula in finding, okay, your f of y given using the transformation technique. Okay, so let us give an example. So let f of x is equal to 6x times 1 minus x times the indicator function of x, and find the CDF of y, which is equal to 3x minus 1. So first, we let your y be the g of x, that would be equal to 3x minus 1. Then solving for x, that would be y plus 1 over 3. Lilipat sa kabila, divide ng 3. So ito yung value ng x natin, which is your inverse of y. So therefore, getting the derivative of the inverse of y is equal to the derivative of this is simply, what is 1/3? 1/3 lang siya, no? Yung ating derivative. So from that, isa-substitute natin yung value ni x dun sa original. So ito magiging siyang f of y. Itong x, papalitan siya ni y plus 1 over 3. Then ito naman ay, yung ating x na ito, mapalitan din ng y plus 1 over 3. Then indicator function, mas x siya, palitan siya ng y plus 1 over 3 times the absolute value of 1/3, which is your the derivative of the inverse of y. So ngayon, ito yung ating value. Pero, alisin natin ngayon si indicator function. Sabi si indicator function daw is 1 if between 0 to 1. So therefore, between 0 to 1, si y plus 1 over 3 multiply both sides by 3, magiging siyang 0 less than y plus 1. Okay, para mangyayari dito, ganito diba? Start is 0, tapos is less than y plus 1 over 3 is less than 1. Kasi yung ating indicator function is from 0 to 1. So multiply natin ng 3 to, maging 0, okay, is less than y plus 1, okay, less than 3. Kasi 1 times 3, multiply natin lahat ng 3. Ito may 3, ito ka-cancel yung 3. Okay, and then adding both side or adding both side by negative 1. So we have negative 1 is less than y is less than magiging siyang 2. Therefore, ito yung magiging value natin. So, papalitan natin yung indicator function natin dito sa pag f of y na tayo in terms of y. Dapat hindi siya naka-in terms of y plus 1 over 3. Dapat naka-in terms of y lang siya. So, simplify natin itong given na to. We have to simplify this. After simplifying using mathematics, no? So, ang lalabas dyan ay this one. This one. So, therefore, 2 times, cancel kasi. So, 2 times y plus 1 over 3 times y minus y plus 1 over 3 kasi yung over 3 dito na-cancel sa 6, so naging siyang 2. So pwede pa i-simplify itong part na to, if you have manipulate natin to at magagawa natin yung simplify natin. Ang mahalaga dito, from x, f of x, naging siyang fy of y, tapos yung sa indicator function natin is x, naging siyang y. Kailangan y, hindi y plus 1 kasi we have to manipulate pa yung ating indicator function. And then we can simplify this, no? Find the LCD least common denominator and then multiply by this, multiply by 2, and that is now your final answer. Kailangan lahat yan in terms of y. How about case 2? If y is equal to g of x is not a one-to-one mapping from A onto B. So first, we have to partition. Okay, ito yung medyo, partition A into a finite or countable number of sets such as y is equal to g of x defines a one-to-one transformation, okay, of each a sub I to b sub I, where b now is equal to u times b sub I, and b sub I needs not be disjoint. Okay, for step 2, for each set in the partition, find the g of the inverse of y, and its derivative. Okay, and third, derive the density function as follows using this formula, same formula na ginamit natin, but the difference is there is a summation. Kanina wala, di ba? Kanina wala sa 1-to-1 kaya walang problema. Ang bilis nating makuha yung sagot. Isa-substitute mo lang yung mga values of x dun sa x dito, tapos pati sa f of x, magiging siya f of y of y. Tapos dito, isa-substitute mo lang siya sa mga x. Ayan, mga x, pati indicator function. Then, sinimplify natin yung indicator function. Kailangan in terms of y lang siya. Di ba? Okay, and then, when we simplify, kailangan yung functions natin are all in terms of y. That is for 1-to-1. How about for onto, for not 1-to-1 mapping from A onto B. So therefore, we have to use a summation here. Kasi since magkakaroon tayo ng summation dito, no? Yung given na formula. Okay, so paano yan? Example, let's take an example. Same example, pero hanapin nating PDF. Plus, bakit nagkakaroon ng summation? Kasi nahahati yung distribution into two parts. For example, nagkakaroon kasi ng absolute value. Most likely, ginagamit ito kung may absolute value yung ating W, yung ating hinahanap ng distribution. So, hinahati yan kasi pag absolute value, alam naman natin na from left to right, or negative x minus 0.5, tapos W, tapos sa kabilang side na may positive, kapag naka-absolute value, kaya nahahati. Kaya kukunin mo muna yung distribution ng isa, i-add mo sa distribution ng isa. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng summation, depende sa number of division or partition. Okay? Is W, where W is the absolute value of x minus 0.5. So, ibig sabihin ng x minus 0.5 is x minus 0.5, 0.5, okay, x minus 0.5 is greater than 0 or x is greater than 0.5. So, yung restriction mo. Then, negative naman siya kasi naka-absolute value siya eh. Kasi isa plus or minus. From negative naman siya, negative of x minus 0.5 if your x minus 0.5 is the opposite, which is less than, and x is less than 0.5. So, ipapartition natin si A into 0, 1 into regions of A with 0 to 0.5 and A to is 0.5 to 1. Pinapartition natin kasi magkaiba yung partition because of the absolute value. Okay, una mo ito positive yung x minus 0.5, ito naman negative yung x minus 0.5. Kaya, hinati natin, partition natin into 2. So we can express the PDF in terms of 6x times 1 minus x, the indicator function of 0 to 0.5 of x plus 6x plus 1 minus x from 0 from 0.5 to 1 of x. So that is now the PDF in terms of x pa lang tayo, yung pa lang yung hinahanap natin. So therefore, the region, okay, for x is less than a, so the first region natin is from 0 to 0.5. Your g sub 1x is equal to w, okay? So, w is equal to negative x minus 0.5, where x now is become 0.5 minus w, and that would be the inverse of w. And getting the inverse of w is equal to negative 1. Okay? to get b sub 1, yung half naman, so we have now 0 is less than x is less than 0.5 or 0 is less than 0.5 minus w. So yung kabilang side is less than 0.5. Therefore, your w is between 0 to 0.5. Okay? So next is for the A2. If x is an element of A2, which is 0.51, therefore your g of 2 is equal to, yung positive tayo, kasi nasa right side tayo, x minus 0.5, therefore x would be w plus 0.5, which is your g sub 2 inverse. Kasi yung kanina g sub 1 inverse, you are talking about from negative. Negative x minus 0.5, no, inilipat sa kabila, so therefore your x would be 0.5 minus w. And this is your g sub 1 inverse. And getting its derivative, it's negative 1 kasi negative yung value natin. Right? Yung w. Therefore, that's where meaning that the restriction is from 0 to 0.5. How about yung isa na kanina, ang g sub 2 inverse of w natin is ang kanyang derivative is positive 1. Okay. Ang kanya namang is 0.5 is less than or equal to x is less than 1 is 0.5 plus is less than w 0.5 is less than 1 given your 0 is equal or is less than or equal to w is less than 0.5. So getting the sum, kunin mo yung dalawa, pagsamahin natin, yung una, palitan natin ng w, 0.5 minus w, then 1 minus 0.5 minus w, and the indicator function is from 0 to 0.5 w. Okay, change na natin yung w sa indicator function times the absolute value of, ito yung b1 saka yung a1, yun na yun sa indicator function, no, na manipulate natin. And for the next one, ito naman yung kabila, ito naman yung positive. Then we simplify. Madali na i-simplify kasi parehas naman siya. Then we have 12 times 0.5 minus w or w plus 0.5. The indicator function is 0 to 0.5 of w. So this is now for what we call continuous, which is not 1 to 1. Okay, so we have a lot of exercises. Again, mamaya. So, ikukunin natin dyan kung anong sasagutan natin para sa paunahan, makasolve at makakuha ng tamang sagot. So, let's first take another example. Okay, class. So, group 11. Okay, so yung kanina, yung group 12, kulang pa ng isa. So, mamaya na kayo, isa-isa nyo. Group 1 and 2. 1 and 2, group 11. So, ang wala na lang natin group 10 saka group 12 na isang number. Okay, sige mamaya. So, ikukunin natin dyan kung anong sasagutan natin para sa paunahan, makasolve at makakuha ng tamang sagot. So, let's first take another example. Okay, given example, tayo mag-start. Your distribution would be, your z is equal to, okay, 10y minus 1. And your CDF, of course, your CDF is given by this. This is 1 minus 1 over y squared times the indicator function of 1 to positive infinity of y. In terms of y yan, di ba? In terms of y. Ngayon, kukunin natin yung kanyang, kukunin natin yung muna niya, from here, from the given function, from the given CDF, kailangan natin yung PDF. And how to get the PDF? We have to get your small f of x, this is small f of y na, y tayo is equal to the derivative of this. So derivative of this is 2 over y cubed times the indicator function of y to positive infinity of y. Okay, ito na yun. Ito yung ating PDF na. This is our PDF. Okay, ito CDF. Yung CDF natin, kailangan i-convert muna natin into PDF kasi ang given mo sa problem is a CDF. So nasa PDF na siya tayo. So kailangan natin kasi ang PDF. So kunin natin